instead of panicking at the first sign of screams and going to my doctor and getting antibiotics, I took a breath and I realized I can do this. I can help my son who has an ear infection. So he came into my room at 5:30 in the morning, screaming bloody murder. And he said his ear was hurting. I knew right away he had an ear infection. He had been swimming and he was doing a whole bunch of stuff when he was like on the cusp of getting sick. And as soon as he told me that his ear hurts, I went and got my otoscope, which you can always get a cheap one on Amazon. And then I looked inside and sure enough, he had an ear infection. So instead of going to the doctor, I first applied mullein garlic oil. And that's one of nature's like best antibiotics. You can put this on a wound. You can put it my number one thing is I put it immediately in my ear, my husband's ear, any kid's ear who's hurting, just to like nip it in the bud if it is an ear infection. Then after that, I realized he's in screaming pain. And so I'm a little more scrunchy rather than crunchy. I tried giving him arnica and the arnica didn't work. So I always actually keep dye-free Motrin on hand. I don't use Tylenol. I know Genexa has, a reputable form of it, but for us, we have the MTHFR gene. And so that was out of the question for us. So after the arnica wasn't working, I did give him a dose of Motrin, and that seemed to at least get him to a state where he would be receptive to receiving homeopathics. So after that, I gave him Hepar Sulph, and then I gave him Belladonna, and I gave him Silicea. So the reason I gave him Hepar Sulph is because that's more like the homeopathic version of an antibiotic. So I was attacking, externally and internally. And then the next one that I did was Belladonna, which, if there's redness, if it's hot to the touch. And then I did Silicea because he told me that he had a bubble in his ear. And so I knew there was fluid trapped behind there. And that is the number one remedy indicated for that. So after I gave him one dose in the morning, right after breakfast, and then around lunchtime, the Motrin wore off. And so I intentionally was wearing it off so that I could kind of gauge his pain level to see if it was working. And then at noon, around lunchtime, it was still not feeling all that great. So, and he started screaming again. So I gave him another dose of all three of those things. And then right around dinner time, I checked in with him and I was like, hey, how's your ear? And he's like, oh, it's all better. It's fine. And truth be told, he came up like maybe an hour later and he's like, it still feels like there's kind of a bubble in my ear. So I gave him another dose of Silicea and then another dose of Hepar Sulph just to like make sure that the infection was going away. He woke up the next day totally fine. And so, I even had to check in with him like, hey, does your ear still hurt? And he was totally fine the next day. He was able to go to school. He was not in pain. We only had to do like really 3 full doses of the homeopathics and only 2 of Motrin. So I consider it a success, especially because I saved the money going to the doctor. I saved like his gut from going on antibiotics, and all these things were available to me on Amazon, or even at my local health food store. So I hope this helps you. If you find that you have other remedies that are really helpful, I'd love to hear them. And please subscribe. I want this to be like a community where we can all share. Like no remedy is better than the other. And then just remember to mother fiercely and heal naturally. And we'll catch you next time.